Right, peeps, this is the hillbilly half-wit, and I've had to redo this again because the sound was wrong. I'm sorry I'm in a bit of a mess, but I've just been feeding stuff here and I just got covered in mess. Anyway, we're going to talk about an old tale and a story of when I was on the timber. And when one of my old friends called Mac, I talked about before, who was as mad as a hatter, still a brilliant mate of mine. I see him maybe twice a year, and it's just like the last time I met him. Carnage, always. Mostly me wrecked. And him looking after me. Anyway, we were working in Lanny in the Havern Forest and in a place called Monachlog. And we were working between that place and the place I called Devil's Canyon. So that was very hard to work on. So you couldn't get a lot out there. And then we went to Monachlog, where there was like a ton of trees plus there. Big trees in a not a really steep area. It was pretty steep in some places, but nothing much. So you could go there and you could tush 5 or 10 loads of logs out in a couple of days, no problem at all. And then we'd move back to the other site all the time. Well, what happened in this one area of Monachlog, the forester had this special area of about 2 tennis courts area, maybe 3 tennis courts area, in amongst the trees where they got all this equipment to test everything from the weather, from the rain, to the gimpy plants growing or whatever. They'd made hundreds of things around there out of plywood boxes and all metal instruments, thermometers. It was like something off the top of the moon, you know, when they're trying to check the moon. It looked like it must have cost thousands. They got all these little special nets netting everything off. They got little plywood boxes, special shapes with these radar things on it, all sorts of shit like that on it. And I was told by the forester then, Jock, he came up to me, he said, special, he said, don't you damage that stuff or you are going to be deep in trouble. And every time I come there, I was having that. Now, what had happened, since I started with this gang, a lot of the lads went, and I ended up sort of in charge, but I didn't want to be, because everybody, a family had a bit of an argument, and then I ended up there, and I stayed with him, and he was a lovely old guy, and I still see him to this day, really nice guy. And because I stayed there, he always trusted me then, and he sort of put me in sort of charge, and I was only a youngish guy. I didn't really want to be in charge at all. So if anything happened, I was always getting the hassle. So if somebody got told off, the first thing the forester would come was to me. I'd have the shit all the time, and everybody knew it. So I'd been off tushing at this place called Devil's Canyon where they cut a lot off, and I would be there for a day on my own or with another lad, and then the others would be falling ahead of the machine all the time. This was a John Deere skidder, the articulated thing. And it was a job to keep in front of it because you could pull a lot out like. So I had said to Mark, I said, don't go near that place. I've had special warning. We're going to be chucked to the wood if you go anywhere near that. Keep away from that instrumentation, for Christ's sake. No problem. No problem. Don't worry about it. So here I come, because it was only about 2 or 3 miles away from the place, so I could drive back and forward between the places with the machine. So here I come after a day and a half, and maybe 2 days, driving up the road, and I just looked off the forestry road where I turned into the wood onto our patch, and I could see all the trees flattened in that area, nothing left standing, and I'm thinking, what is going on up here? Where's the whole wood? There was literally 50, 60 acres of wood there to go at, and they had to go at that bit. They had to. So I'm thinking to myself, maybe he's just fell him and the other lad that was with him, they just fell him in between everything, and then I just have to be very careful pulling them out. So I drove up there. As I got closer, I could see it was completely demolished. Everything had been demolished. All the trees, there was probably 50 to 100 trees had been smashed, fell on top of this stuff, smashed it to shit. There was nothing left there. It was like an atom bomb had gone off. So I'm there like, oh my God. Because this stuff was all made metal, special instruments there. I'm not talking small, I'm talking, it looked like something off the moon, all this stuff that was there. It looked like you walked in somewhere they spent thousands to me. So I'm there like in shock now. And I said, Mac, what have you done? What? He made out he didn't know. He knew perfectly well. I know him. I could tell by his face. And he knew. He'd done it for devilment. And I was thinking to myself, I'm going to have to tell him. We're going to be chucked out the wood again. So then my mind starts going, and I'm thinking, well, I'm going to get the shit whatever happens here. So there's no point telling them. I may as well tush them all out there to the road and just have one bollocking instead of two. So instead of having a bollocking now, I'll have one at the end. That's how I looked at it. What they didn't see, you know what I mean. So I just spent this day pulling these things out, and every tush I was pulling, there was big, huge lumps of plywood, some instrument or thermometer coming in with my tushes. Oh my God, it wrecked this stuff, and there was nothing left because I had to drive over it as well to get them from there. It was literally like somebody had gone there with the biggest sledgehammer in the world and smashed everything to shit that you could possibly smash that they didn't want smashed. So I did this then, and I can't actually remember it was the weekend. All I know is when they found out, they went berserk. Absolutely, totally berserk. Another one, we're going to chuck you out of the wood, and I just basically went, I learned in my life, you just got to act thick. If somebody says something to you, you just go, oh, I didn't know that. Dad used to say it to me. He just said, if somebody comes to say anything to you, just act completely and utterly dumb and thick. He said, they'll feel sorry for you. So that's what I used to do all the time. And if any forestry come in there and we were in trouble, I'd go, well, I never knew that. I honestly, nobody ever told me about that. And I gotta say, there was only that one time I told them it before we were chucked out the wood, really. We were threatened lots of times. But I managed to wangle my way out of it, and I wangled my way out of this one after they'd smashed everything in sight up. Everything. There was nothing left. And he'd done it on purpose. And I know he did, and he was laughing like a fool going home in the van that night. The swine. So there you are. There's another funny story for you. Ta-da. Please subscribe.